these images, and we can show, again, the video of these funerals being held right now. There is outrage throughout the world, given what's happened to these young men.
These are very difficult times for all of us in Israel and here in New York, Jews and non-Jews alike. There are several services organized here in New York. The whole nation is grieving and mourning with the families.
The president released a statement shortly after the news yesterday, saying in part the United States condemns in the strongest possible terms the senseless act of terror against innocent youth. I also urge all parties to refrain from steps that could further destabilize the situation. What are you bracing yourself for, sir?
Well, of course, we appreciate the fact that President Obama and his administration consistently stood by Israel, and we appreciate the support we're getting from all over the world. We are looking at a century-old assault on Jewish national sovereignty in the land of Israel. Hamas represents an uncompromising Palestinian organization that calls openly for the destruction of the state of Israel, that looks at every Israeli as a legitimate target. And there is no surprise among Israelis to discover that Hamas is indeed responsible for this atrocity.
As you well know, Hamas has denied responsibility. They praised, the leadership praised the abductions, but says or indicated they would not take responsibility because they were not behind this offensive. What do you say to that? Are those empty, lost words?
Right. Well, what more do we need? The two perpetrators are well-known Hamas members in the Hebron area. In fact, the mother of one of them said openly to Israeli Channel 10 that she's proud of her son. The families that they come from are well known in Hamas circles. More than that, Hamas leader Khalid Mashal only less than a month ago openly called for Palestinians to attack innocent Israelis. He specifically mentioned kidnapping. And if this is not enough, all you have to do is just look at the charter of Hamas. What Hamas is actually saying openly and publicly, calling for the destruction of the state of Israel, calling for the annihilation of the only democracy in the Middle East.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened an emergency security cabinet meeting overnight. We also, as indicated in our report, watched as Israel launched some 34 attacks at sites early this morning, most of them belonging to Hamas, in response to at least rockets that were launched into Israel since Sunday here. Again, to the initial question, what are you bracing for? The president expressed concern that this would be a situation that could destabilize that region that's already, as you know, very well unstable. But what are you bracing yourself for as, again, these images of these young men, their pictures, the video from their funeral is broadcast throughout the world?
Well, Prime Minister Netanyahu said very clearly that Hamas is responsible and Hamas will pay. The government headed by Prime Minister Netanyahu, the Security Cabinet, will convene again today, and they will make the decision as to the scope and the magnitude of the Israeli response. But make no mistake, we know exactly what we're up against. We're up against an organization that is deadly, that is brutal, that with no hesitation murdered 3 innocent boys, and we will take the right steps to protect ourselves.
Consul General Ido Aharoni, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Ukrainian security forces are launching an assault against pro-Russian separatists just hours after